Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here, and after much debate on what to play, and it's still continuing, as you can see in the chat, Austria's bad manpower can't take Europe with her. Well, I don't know that I'm trying to take Europe with her, Azad. I'm trying to restore the proper Austro-Hungarian Empire, if you will, is what I'm trying to do, which isn't taking all of Europe necessarily. Because I'm not necessarily trying to get Spain and the Netherlands and other parts of that. Definitely not looking at taking out the Kaiserreich to the north of us. So yes, as we're talking about all this, we are going to play Austria. I hope you enjoy this. Toyjet is going to help walk me through it, because this is obviously the weird and wacky world of Kaiserreich. So we're going to start this. Okay, what if Germany had won the war? Brought to you by the KR team. Very good. Kaiserreich Alpha 0.93. Thank you. Very nice. Okay, so now for national focuses, we have economic rehabilitation plan, and we have economic rehabilitation plan. So I guess that is where we start. Now we have do we build military or civil factories? Current production, let's see, we currently have 9 military factories. We could use more to get naval bombers. We like naval bombers, so I guess we will. Well, I think we could start with there we go. No, I don't want to do it there. Cancel that. I want to do it more in Austria proper. There we go. That will get us a civil factory going. Now for research, yeah, this is mostly, if not entirely, the standard tech tree. So we're going to do this because I'm an infrastructure player. Get construction speeds up. Let's look at technology. We might as well. We also want to do that early on, and that leaves us. We're probably going to skip most naval things because I don't think Austria is much of a naval nation. Yeah, let's do machine gun equipment. Now, like I say, Austria is not much of a naval nation, but we do have a teeny bit of coastline at Trieste. Interwar light hull ship. Mark 1. No point in doing focus. RM. Okay, so I will cancel that. Fortunately, we can now cancel national focuses. Thank you. That's exactly. Destroyers and sub. Austria is a naval nation. Yeah, not really. They want it to be, but not really. That is not really the thing for them. But we will produce some light vessels, like Arno's suggesting. Oh, light hull ship. Yeah. Let's do an interwar. Let's do something a little more modern to get that going. Now we need more steel. German Empire. Let's see. We'll do one factory there. Oh, I didn't even read how you spelt it differently. Yes, you're right, Azad. Now I get the joke. I do get it now. Well, right now I'm looking at just having some ships to sort of mess around in the Adriatic. I think. Okay. So no national focus. We're going to get trading on that. We have no political power yet. Oh, they're using an SA man's portrait. Okay. Actually, is that SA or NSKK? I'm not sure right offhand from that size. I presume historically. Okay, so let's start this off. And let's increase speed up a bit. Okay, let's read this. The situation of Austria in 1936. Despite standing among the victors of the Weltkrieg, the war revealed the divisions of the culture, class, and ideology within the empire ever so clearly, and the inner unrest continued on as the war ended. Kaiser Karl, following the footsteps of the assassinated Franz Ferdinand, and trying to reform the multinational Austro-Hungarian Empire into something that could survive the 20th century, launched a series of large-scale reforms. However, his efforts were largely blocked by the nobility of the Hungarian side of the empire, leading to his plan of a federation progressing only slowly and only in the I don't know. Scythian side of the empire. I guess I don't know how you pronounce that. However, many feel that there is hope for Austria. The last decades were hard on the empire, but an effort has started paying off. Austria now is a federation state has calmed down, but the same cannot be said for Trans-Scythian Trans-Althanian? I don't know. Sorry, I'm butchering that. It is, however, unlikely that the Carpathian Basin will continue to remain in Magyar hands, since Magyar peoples have been gazing upon the liberties across the Luthia, wishing to have such autonomy for themselves. Whether reforms will find a way to Hungary, only the Kaiser knows for sure. Austria in orbit Ultima. Okay. Now I'm going to pontificate here a little bit about this. Now, I'm going to accept that within, again, as I call it, the wild, wacky world of Kaiserreich, that things are different than reality and are different than what I would think a post World War I German victory would be like. And so I'm happy to play this game in that light. But the Habsburg monarchy, at its core, wants to rule the world. At its core, is anti-nationalistic. At its core, it is an attempt to have, well, maybe a federation type thing in idea, in that instead of everywhere is centrally governed out of the, some central capital. It is somewhat regional, but it does not see different nationalities, different groups as being any sort of idea of restraint upon itself. And this is why Hitler hated the Habsburg monarchy. I mean, he hated it with a passion, to putting some of the members into concentration camps. Not death camps, just concentration camps to be held. And because they didn't even see the Austrians, the German Austrians, as being somehow special, something, because this is why Hitler hates them, is somehow special or above or different than other members of the empire. It was just sort of, they started out in Vienna. They wanted to spread, obviously, at their height. They had the Kingdom of Spain with all of its overseas possessions, as well as, Habsburg Austria down, in northern and in southern Italy and the Netherlands and God knows where else around. So that's the Habsburg, the real world Habsburg vision for things, is it wants to be this sort of over lord of everything. I don't know who the current heir is, but Otto Habsburg, the heir to it in real life at this time, not Karl. I don't know who Karl is, quite honestly. Ended up being a member of the, European Parliament or the Commonwealth, not the EU, the Common Market or whatever. He very much worked for unification of Europe under a sort of single government system. Look at the lower part of your focus tree. Okay, you will see 3 paths. Those are the paths available to you to lead the empire. Choose one you want and go. I will get you a guide and come up. Because it's a mess. Okay, try and build some naval bombers. We will, once we get to things. Military occupation is the quickest but the least reward. Status quo, slowest but ends up giving you the greatest rewards. Embrace pluralism is kind of in the middle. Okay, let me look at this. That is useful to know. I didn't. Okay, you're talking about here, I presume. Status quo, embrace pluralism, military occupation. KK Ministeria. Nations with a federation of equals. Status quo slowest, but ends up giving you the greatest reward. Okay, we'll probably see about going status quo. That seems like an or a Habsburg-y thing to do. Like I was saying, a federation type thing isn't beyond the Habsburg vision of ideology. I really only see the Habsburgs resorting to things like this in extreme cases. Not saying they wouldn't, but these aren't. At least nothing that I'm seeing. Well, okay. Don't know if this is stabilize the country. If this is meaning to be a communist revolution, they were very much against that. That doesn't mean the Habsburgs aren't against certain levels of social reform, certain levels in the modern sense of, state health care and state pensions for people. It's not anti that kind of thing. It's more depending on the times whether it could, but it is very much a hierarchical society view. Karl is Otto's dad. Okay, current heir is Otto's grandson, great-grandson, or something, kids about my age, and he's a race car driver. His parents are divorced. Okay. Yeah, because like I've said before, I was sort of involved in some correspondence with Otto way back when. It wasn't, I was working with somebody else, sort of longish story. A little bit. I was, yeah, this is when I was in Britain. So I mean, I never met or talked with him directly, but I did have a little minor interaction. So I sort of, with that and some research I did on him because of that, sort of, know his general outlook. Not like I know specific policy or I'm any sort of expert or anything like that, but he was very much looking for the unification of Europe through an EU setting. And that's very much, he wanted to get rid of the idea of nation states. Maybe states like we have in the US, so that Portugal and France and whatever might be part of a state that then may have sub-states within it, and have national characteristics, shall we say. It's not that he wants to make everyone, he's the opposite. They were the opposite again of sort of the Hitlerite view of a single state with a single culture of people under it. He was absolutely, not wanting to turn the world Austrian. He wanted to turn the world Habsburg oversight. Now, well, by the time you get to Otto, I don't know his personal mind. I don't think he was trying to restage a new Habsburg Empire, but he was definitely working towards a sort of unified thing that I would presume eventually, theoretically, take over the UN and take over the world under it, is sort of that viewpoint. And that's how I will characterize the modern Habsburg view, at least from him. Good morning, Kodai. Oh, I hate when people use the QUE. I don't know how I'm supposed to end that. Sorry. Very little money. Descendants of the royal families. They were. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, liberal elites intensifies as. Yeah, they were liberal elites. They're definitely at least as again my experience, and it wasn't. I'm just sort of reading into various things, not going from any specific stuff, but they sort of a liberal elitist monarchy or liberal elitist governance, shall we say, in a modern sense, that I would presume the old family lines, whether they be Habsburgian or Hohenzollern or Bourbon or whatever, would still play a role, like whether they be figurehead kings or ministers in some sort of EU type government. Oh, Kodiak. Okay, that's right. And you said that before. Kodiak. See, now if you spell it that way, I get it perfectly fine. Kodiak. It's just that sort of French QUE always throws me unless I'm really on it. Thank you for letting me know that again. Okay, Max. See you later. I hope. Okay, so we will wait until we can get down to, or when we can, we'll get down to here. Which is general elections of 36 and whatever. So that's, I guess, after 37 when we get there. I really think the sort of universalist view of sort of government and governmentship is counterproductive because it doesn't take into account real cultural differences. Okay, assassinated of President Kerensky in Russia. How barbaric. Yeah, well, so I believe the Man, oh, that was the thing I wanted to talk about in back in when we were playing Strategic Command World War One, was Romania, because we had the Romanian king die and the new one come in. The Romanian monarchy was another sort of Germanic. I don't know if they were German or Austrian or whatever they were. Another Germanic monarchy that in World War One were very pro-German and Austria, but the people were pro-France and Britain, but particularly France and the Entente. And so that caused a lot of conflict between the top of the government and the people. Eventually, of course, they go with the Entente. And it sort of gets to both AZADs and what I was wanting to talk about there. Maybe I'll remember for the next episode. Well, there are different types of liberal, because you say liberal. Liberal really means, sort of liberty. Maybe on the extreme you get libertinism, and not just as in a sexual way, but just generally, and laissez-faire economies. On the one side. On the other side, you have what we sort of call liberal elites today, are really progressive elites. And they are a different thing than liberal elites, though often the Venn diagram, a lot of them coincide. But the progressives want to have, they're sort of what's the author, the futurist author way back before this time, and still who did War of the Worlds? Who wrote War of the Worlds, people? Oh boy, I blank on these. I'm picturing his face right now. Nobody's helping me yet. Okay. Before I get to the Totalist Charter here. Wells, H.G. Wells, that's it. Thank you, Kodiak. That's exactly it. H.G. Wells. Sorry, because I know who I'm talking about. I just blank on names like that. Okay, H.G. Wells is if you've read his books or seen some of the stuff, what he presents, he doesn't believe so, but is a very, very evil viewpoint. He wants one world government by elites. It's a very sort of progressive, not necessarily communist. That's why I'm going to Wells as opposed to Marx or somebody else. He wants elites. You look at, there was a movie, and again, I'm blanking on it, that was done in, I think, right around 1936. In which there's a terrible war that destroys most of mankind, but there's this sort of flying elites that eventually come back in and are using gas and whatnot to reconquer these barbaric areas, like England has become barbaric. And we're going to be overlords of the world to create this progressive new utopia that is everybody's needs are taken care of. Not that some people can't be richer than others, so it's not necessarily communism, but it is this sort of progressivism that many progressives are socialistic, but this progressivism, that is the problem. Now, they're often called liberal elites or liberals, but if they were just liberals, because we're always going to have elites, people. Yes, okay, everybody's done it. H.G. Wells, thank you guys. We're always going to have elites, whether they have titles like Kaiser or king and duke and duchess or whatever, or whether they're just rich people like Bill Gates out there, with no title. It doesn't matter. We're always going to have elites, and they're always going to have more influence on things than the average person. We call it progressive use. Yeah, you're absolutely right there, AZADs. So we're always going to have elites. Now, how much power should they have? Should they be accountable to courts, like where a lot of the nobility in the past wasn't really accountable to popular courts, where like in the U.S. with the idea, and starting with the Magna Carta, starting with that, it just starts the trend of the idea that elites can be held accountable for their actions in in different courts. Magna Carta is just sort of the foundation of that, not the end result of it. So we're always going to have the elites. And I'm not anti-elite at all. I am not anti-elite. Now, I don't want to have the elites be the sole governing control of the world either. So it's a balancing system. And so progressive elites, to really put their name on it, whether they're socialistic or whether they are just progressive, and yeah, some people are going to have $1 billion and some people are going to be not in the way, they're going to be able to feed themselves, they're going to have good health care, they're going to have a decent life, but they're just going to live in a small apartment, and they're going to have, shall we say, a small life. Some people are going to be that way, and some people are going to be, billionaires. So those are other sorts of different progressive elements within society. And shall we say a good, and it does change even under Roddenberry's vision, sort of Star Trek, because he's a progressive person, his sort of Star Trek future of a utopia for at least the civilized parts of the galaxy. If you buy into that kind of view, of a Star Trek view, that's where a lot of these people buy into and think we're going someday. I think that is wrong, bad, and counterproductive in that it's going to kill millions of people trying to get there and never be able to do it, because I think it is unnatural for the human animal. So international governorship really, why the hell is anybody still speaking French? Why? Because there's French people and they have French ways of doing things. And language is just one of the elements of people speaking, of people being French. And so they are different. As different as the language is between French and Japanese people and French people are different. And it is not based on race, in my view, as the primary differences. It is cultural. It is entirely cultural. And so if you were to take somebody's, if you were to somehow be able to put somebody in makeup, shall we say, take a Frenchman and put them in Japanese makeup and put them in Japan, and raise them in the Japanese culture so the Japanese couldn't tell that they were born French, they would end up being Japanese and not end up being French. It has nothing to do with your race, like Hitler and the racists believe. It's why white people are white supremacy. No, it's not white supremacy. It may be Anglo supremacy or Anglo-American supremacy, not necessarily Britain and America, but the sort of Anglo-American culture supremacy. I do believe some cultures are intrinsically better than other cultures. And some of you, Azads being one, but even Arno and IKB is in the Anglosphere, obviously, but Arno is Dutch, Toyjet is Norwegian, and they may think, well, hey, my culture's just as good. Well, maybe, but in geography and other things do affect the outcomes of wars and conquests and whatnot. But, and then we get to, like, Azad's culture India is very different than Anglo culture. And I am not saying that Azad is wrong in liking his culture, but I'm just looking at purely the success rates of culture around the world. Now, I like the culture that I grew up in because I did grow up in it, and that is part of why I like it, and why somebody in a very different culture can like their culture instead of, if you will, American culture or the Anglo culture. I'm perfectly legit with people liking different cultures better than my culture or what I think is best, but we can sort of look at empirical data that I think the Anglo culture, in my opinion, the best culture is the one that destroys all other cultures. Well, if you talk about it in a, shall we say, synthesis, antithesis, or whatever, sort of in a cultural Marxist sense, not in a violent sense, but in a Hollywood, if you will, is to use the view or whatever of movies and media out there in the world influencing other cultures. sticks around long. That's absolutely, in music that's influencing other cultures around the world. Yes, I will agree with you there. Not necessarily the one that destroys it by violence and conquest. Those are different aspects. And so when somebody, see, this is why it's sort of the modern term, white supremacy. And a lot of people, many white, will use those terms, and that's what they talk about, and they think it's race. And they're still racist. A lot of leftists are still racist. I'm talking cultural Anglo supremacy. And anybody's skin color, anybody's genetics, they might not be able to grow up in Africa, get to the age of 30, and then decide, oh, I'm going to be American. How do I do that? Take a class and then just be American. They can't just immediately change their culture. So it's not something like they can, like people believe that you can gender change. Oh, I'm now a new gender just by belief. I remember, some sort of like pop star or something. Sometimes I just feel like a woman or whatever he says. How in the hell do you know what a woman feels like? You're a man. You may think you know what a woman feels like. You may think you feel like, but how do you know what a woman feels like? I don't know what a woman feels like. I'm not a woman. So, there are definitely males that want to be more effeminate. Femininity and masculinity are traits. And there are definitely people that are more effeminate and more masculine than others. Some women are more masculine than other women. But that doesn't mean any of those women on any masculine and feminine trait bars, moving XY coordinates, make either of them on either extreme men or make them men. Even a very masculine woman isn't necessarily man. That doesn't mean she shouldn't have a lot of masculine traits. I'm not arguing against that. I'm just saying they're still women. They don't know and I don't know what it is like to be a woman. So I don't know. And so this is what the language is doing. So you can't instantly change your culture. You can slowly change your personal culture over time. It is best, obviously, to go live in the other culture that you may want to change to. And you will change just by interactions with other cultures. You will slowly take on elements of it as you experience more of it. So I'm a culturalist. I value different cultures, and I do know I'm talking both live here now and later on to people of different cultures than myself, and they may not like my views. I'm sorry that you don't like them, but you should be able to understand and take that not everybody's going to agree with you in this modern, even in this modern world. And so I am a culturalist, and that I will acknowledge that there is Anglo privilege. Some of it, and again, probably just about all of you watching here, have a little Anglo privilege in that you speak and understand a reasonable degree of English. That gives you access to so much more of the world. Because if you're a Japanese person and only speak Japanese and only read Japanese, or you're a Chinese person and only speak Chinese, even if you do have a connection to the internet to go out of the rest of the world, you can't consume the greater totality of culture and media and information out there. So you all have at least a little bit of quote-unquote Anglo privilege by being here. And that's my view and my answer to a lot of this stuff. And so internationalism, International Herald Tribune, as we're seeing here on the title, if you're trying to govern it, meaning governance is less than rule, but if you're trying to govern it, it causes problems because people are different cultures. Now, cultures come and go. There's no longer a Carthaginian culture. There are only shades of the old Roman culture. It comes and goes and changes over time. Branding is quite... If subversion works, why is it bad? Okay, the total is Mussolini, Valois, Beria, and other interested parties arrive in Birmingham today to discuss their common ground: Marxism, Sorelianism, National Syndicalism. All share basic principles. Okay, the lefties are organizing.
Zuhören!
see if we have a general to put him here. Okay, well, first, no. I like how they've done some of this. Oh, that's good. That's good. Rengel here in an Austrian uniform. Oh, they've done some good work here. No, I'm not. I want to. Well, let's first assign an overall army commander here. Brom or Baum or Molly. We'll give it to him. Sort of aged his earlier portrait instead of having him in the. Okay, there we go. Well, see, I don't know that we need to fight a man. There, AZs. Okay, I will look at Steam here. Okay, so you're recommending pluralism. Okay. We can see about that. Because we're not there yet. Okay. Edward 6, 7, 8. Edward the 8th, crowned King of Britain. I always have to count out with that. King of Britain. Okay, so Edward gets it this time instead of his brother, George. Yeah, probably Edward would be the better King of Canada than George. I'm trying to get back. Britain. Open new. I'm opening this up and going to paste and go, and bookmarking just so I don't lose that. Okay. Sorry if we're jumping around a bit. So going social conservative. The pluralist social conservative is arguably the better of the two. Naturally, it's the one that you want to aim for. Okay, no profits from legation cities. That's a shame. Afghanistan declares war on the Dominion of India. The 5th Anglo-Afghani War. I wonder who Azads is ruling, or rooting for between Afghanistan and the Dominion of India. I don't know which. These two, I know he would prefer. Probably the Federation, but maybe the Commune. I know you're not going for the. AZ is not in favor of. Okay. Oh, Black Monday. Black Monday hits Austria. Black Monday has. I keep forgetting about this, but I remember as soon as. Toyjet reminded me. And it would be long before the shockwave ripples across Europe, given its proximity. Austria is among the first to be affected in the economic suffering. Okay, so aftermath stability, construction speed, production efficiency, everything has really gone to hell. Okay, now. You see, I accept that cultural contact, so in elections in France, okay, is going to affect cultures. I generally hope that elements imported into a culture are the positive ones from other cultures. Austrian elections of 1936 for the people to decide. Okay, so yeah, the jihadi sultans. So, okay, so this would be the Muslim sultans over the commune. So, you would go with the syndicalist Indians over the foreign Muslims, or over the foreign British type situation. Okay, oh, pause. Opening of schools and the SDAP rally. Even if the economic situation in Austria has been dire for a while, the first years after the Welterkrieg, when the CS and SDAP still cooperation in their governance, so widespread reformation in education and welfare, academies for specialized workers. Vienna has regarded as a front runner in social circles today. A new academy is opened in the 9th district of Vienna, which the SDAP sees as a major success for theirs. Many of the speeches and various their efforts are praiseworthy, gains the national spirit. Which of these do we want to do, Toy Jet? I prefer if they didn't claim success of a joint. Probably that's because we want to, I guess, go. I guess you're suggesting here that we go social conservatives as opposed to SADP, SDAP. Okay, so I guess we're going to go here. So we will go. Don't do that. We open the schools. Okay, and is it no? We can't do the economic rehabilitation plan at the moment. I don't know if ever now. Okay, okay. CS Social Conservatives invites Prince Otto to hunt. Successful hunt for the CS. Chance to get events. Hunting accident. I guess we will, because we have an 80% chance of a good. And that's what monarchists are supposed to do, go out and hunt. Yeah, some of our other divisions here are there. Okay, hunting accidents. Okay, during is confirmed an accident by all bystanders. Hunting rifle of the son of the prominent CS Poles misfire, grazing Prince Otto's right leg in the process. While the heir to the throne sustained no serious injuries during the incident, the media are already spinning their conspiracy theories. Uh-oh, that didn't work out. We got the 20%. Just our luck. We got the 20% other result. And not the good result. Okay. Who are we going to give these divisions to? We'll give them to Wrangel. He was much older looking by this time. Baum Armoli. I've seen a 1938 photo of him in his Wehrmacht, or 1938 to 39 photo in Wehrmacht uniform, just a few years older, and looks much older. Restoration of democracy in Australasia. That would be, let's pump this out here. Now that we have it. The elections, okay. Australasian Confederation. The final tally is in after the hard-fought election campaign. We shall now find out the winner. Isn't this exciting? Oh, looks like SDAP came in ahead of the elections here. Okay. Austria becomes the ruling party. Elections will not be with divided society. And general elections of 36. Well, that isn't necessarily good news for our plans. Is it to the point that we want to go back and restart Toy Jet? Yes. IKB, if you can stay around. If it doesn't make much difference, then okay. But I'd be happy to restart if it really does sort of make a difference and push for things. I don't know exactly how. Death of Pius XI. So the papal states here are without a ruler. Well, briefly. Okay, first International Congress, yes. Electronic engineering. And then we're going to go mechanical computing. And so it's bypassed that. We are not producing much at all of anything. Oh, what is it? Cutic Channel 1? Sorry, I'm butchering that. Papal Conclave, yes. Tibet has joined the Khanate. Oh, what do we care? What do we care? Seems like the Dominion of India is doing okay against the Afghanis. Yeah, it can be. I can understand that. That's why I'm having Toyjet here help me walk me through some of this stuff. Ma Click is screwed, yeah. I forget. I used to have a guy who was coming here. I forget, he changed his name at one point, but he was a descendant from some Chinese that were involved with the Ma Click. He was living in Taiwan, but yeah. Peace, okay. So they've got peace, and it looks like back to basically the previous border. I don't really see a difference. Yeah. So, resistance suppression down here. Depends on how things are set up with what mods or whatnot you're playing with. Whether resistance suppression will have overly great resistance. Thanks, Arno. Some push to lands as usual. Oh, okay. Yeah, because that is sort of, you're talking probably presumably in here somewhere. This is the border I'm used to seeing today, I think. Or is that? Yeah, this is the border I'm used to seeing today. I don't remember what it was just beforehand. Click declared war on Mongolia, and we have new MGs and basic machine tools. Very good. Keep clicking the wrong things. Oh, I'm still clicking the wrong things. Let's click here. Different versions use different symbols for all this. Okay, 15%. Vulnerability, conversion, speed, production efficiency, base production efficiency, retention, max factories. We're going to go with this one. And well, let's do a more modern fighter. Rule our skies. Hello. Russia here. Okay, hello. SV9 Toy Mix. Good to have you here. Okay, let's see. Influence in the Italian elections. The Italian Republic, which is this one here, is in the midst of a general election, and we have considerable influence there. We can give our support and backing to one of the political parties to ensure that the right one takes power in Milan. However, some ministers are concerned that overt involvement this would require might result in further support of the far right and anti-Austrian anti-Austrian Italian National Association. What do you want to do? Support the Liberal Democrats. Support the Italian Republicans. Support the People's Parties. Don't support parties. Well, Toyjet, now that you're back, I don't know about the aircraft. I don't know if we should bother with them. I know they're on our border. I know they're facing syndicalists across the way here. Vaguely, I'd like to try to get that territory back, because it belongs to Austria. Well, we have a lot of social liberals, social conservatives. Well, if we support the social liberals, those party ideology, I guess that's who those are. We have the political power. I guess we'll use it. Hopefully it won't backfire on us too badly. No, we're not going to go pushing towards communism. We're playing as the Austrian Kaiser. And the syndicalists, as sort of the leftists are here, are not who we want to support. Okay, Greece seizes Austrian assets. Thanks to rippling effects of Black Monday, Austrian investors who held majority shares in Greek factories and mines have been closing those businesses down, in some cases because they're unprofitable, but in others because the investors have gone bankrupt. The Greek government has responded by seizing the companies despite the Treaty of Salonika, signed after the war, stipulating that our investors have unfettered access to their economy. Many in government are suggesting that we respond harshly and not only apply sanctions but put all investments out of Greece, pull all investments. Others say that in the country trying to stay afloat, Black Monday has hit all of us hard. Okay. No, yeah, as Toyja is saying, it's alt history World War II. As if the Germans and the Austrians had won World War I. So, apply sanctions and pull out businesses at once. Apply sanctions and express our outrage. Let them be. We're all trying to cope. Harsh? Punish the Greeks? Well, yep, okay, we'll do the Merkel on them. We'll do the Merkel on them if they are seizing our assets. Greeks need to learn that they're just German toys. Achtung! Ausrücken! If they don't know that already in real life, they should learn so soon. Achtung! Yes, Azads. In a way, you're right. Okay. We're going to keep the stream going, but we're going to end this episode of Kaiserreich. So all of you watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time for more, well, Hearts of Iron.